Okay, so let's pick Portfolio off the menu here and open the desktop layout at the same time. You can see the settings are the same. I'm going to make changes to the desktop settings for the Portfolio section, but if you want to make changes that only affect a single gallery, you will do that in Overrides. As you can see, when you open this, everything is blank because it's inheriting the global settings from the layout. So you can make a single adjustment or change everything depending on the needs of that specific menu item. Starting with background color. So behind your images and video, there is a color that can be adjusted. You will not see it if they are set to fill. This is set to fit, so you can see the color in the background. Let's go back to white. We offer several different transition types. There's fade, so the images fade in and out as you transition. There's a scroll, so everything is scrolling in line either horizontally or vertically. The no crop version just means the images will scale. So if the browser window is too small with the menu and all the margins to fit the image, it will scale the image down so you can see the whole thing. That's recommended. There's a slide, so as you advance the image, the next one slides into place. And then there's something called grid slide that you can mess with and see if you like using. You can see with the transition seconds on fade, slide, and scroll, you can decide how long it takes to get to the next image. But with scroll, you can use your mouse to scroll along, and you can also use the cursor to advance the image. And that's where the transition seconds come into play. There's an alignment for the image. The images can be aligned left, center, or right. I think most people will want to use center. This is horizontally and also vertically. This really comes into play when you change the scale type. Right now I'm using fit. What fit does is it takes the image and it fits it in the available space. There's no cropping. The native setting is something special that allows you to make it so the image will not grow past its native settings. So if you have small images or you don't want them to scale past their true size, then you would choose the native setting. Then there's fill, which is pretty exciting because it takes the image and it fills the available space. It respects all these margins like menu margin, top and bottom margin, and the side margins that are created in the layout panel. It will fill the image in the rest of the space and it will crop it to do so. In that case, you can change the alignments so it crops from the bottom right or the top left, however you want it to crop from. That way you can preserve the most important part of the image from cropping. Next, with the videos, you can use the native fit and fill settings. There's an autoplay where the videos start playing automatically. And we have a setting that will force the videos to loop. Next, we have margins. So within this image box, there's margins. Now there are several different margins to think about. We have the menu width here. Then we have the container margins for the entire site, top, bottom, left, and right. The bottom container margin traditionally holds the navigation and the footer links. But within all that, there are margins around the image. Those are traditionally set to 0, but you can set a margin around your images for a really nice effect of matting. I can set a 10 pixel margin, or I can use the percent sign, so it's 10%. And will change as the browser window changes, which allows it to scale better. If you're going from a laptop to a large monitor, you want a percentage, so it preserves the margin in those wildly different scenarios. Next, we have the inactive image transparency. This is when you are set to scroll, but you are using the cursor to advance the images. The images that are not active can be faded back using this setting. It doesn't show up when you scroll, just when using the cursor to advance the images. Then we have a loader type with just the spinner and none, so you can turn off the image loader. Next, we have a few browser settings called CSS image rendering settings. You don't need to adjust these unless something funky is happening with your image color in the browser. Next, we have the scroll bar options. The smooth scroll uses the browser scroll bars and is super nice, but you can also create your own custom scroll bars here, and you have all the settings to do that. One thing to note, if you go under Website Container, there's a switch to turn on the smooth scroll globally. So everywhere you have a scroll bar option, if this is on, it will be stuck in smooth scroll. You got to turn it off to make the custom scroll bars. For the custom scroll bars, you have scroll bar visibility for only when scrolling or always visible. There's alignment. If you're using horizontal or vertical scroll, you can decide where this appears. Left and right for vertical scroll and top and bottom for horizontal. And then you have offsets for exact positioning. This gets into the margins that you have and where you want the scroll bar to appear on those, because you'll want to create space for it if that's important to you. But you can also totally get rid of it too, since there are many options, including the keyboard arrow for advancing the images. But also some people may need the scroll bar to understand what's going on. This is a redundant feature, and it provides an indicator for your users what's going on. You have the color and the hover color for when you grab the bar, it will change colors, and a transparency for the background of the scroll track. And finally, the width.